Hello. Welcome to this VMware on Microsoft Azure webinar. My name is Jim Richardson. I'm the CEO and founder of FINCHLOOM. And today we're going to talk about running your VMware on Azure and accelerating your cloud migration. While you read the agenda on the screen, let's have our co-pilot give us a quick corny joke as an icebreaker.
Sure thing, Jim. So, why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts. All right, ice broken. What's next on the agenda?
Organizations are looking for ways to do more with less. Outdated systems and expensive, over-provisioned data centers are under scrutiny as executives seek to reduce overall costs, improve security vulnerabilities, and deliver business results more effectively. Traditional ERP systems lack speed and agility. Technical debt makes it hard to innovate. Employees, suppliers, and customers need secure remote access. And data is stuck in silos, making real-time insights difficult. As your data center contract expires, cash flow challenges may arise, and urgent capacity needs may come into play. It's easy to understand why so many companies are considering the cloud for their IT needs. Whether it's security threats, software and hardware refresh, budget and resource constraints, or end-of-life support that you're dealing with, the cloud provides an infrastructure that is on demand, offers a better total cost of ownership, and provides flexibility and encourages innovation. Moving your VMware system to the cloud is not only reliable, but will help your business become more secure and agile at a lower cost than ever before.
Accelerate cloud migration and modernize applications at your pace with Azure VMware Solution, the most cost-effective destination for your Microsoft workloads. Run VMware as a native Azure service and capitalize on your existing VMware investments, skills, and tools. Talking with customers, we see a variety of migration drivers and triggers that determine their cloud path. And especially over the past year, we've witnessed a second wave of digital transformation sweeping every company and every industry. Organizations have risen to new challenges, including distributed workforces, increased need for business continuity, elastic demand, and a growing pressure to innovate and compete with a new wave of startups. At the same time, organizations still face the challenges of legacy infrastructure, platform incompatibilities, and vast compliance requirements. As we look to help customers build their own digital capability to drive resilience and growth, grounded in consistency and trust, for some businesses, there are persistent challenges that we hear. The need to migrate to the cloud quickly or to expand capacity rapidly. The need to reduce costs, complexity, or the risks associated with large-scale projects, and the importance of minimizing having to create new processes, leveraging the people and skills they already have.
Most VMware customers plan to migrate and modernize their workloads in the cloud to gain benefits like agility, scale, and resiliency. The impending Broadcom acquisition is adding uncertainty for some customers. With Azure, Microsoft can provide predictability in licensing costs, along with great options to migrate and modernize at your pace. This is the part where I get to use my movie voice. Choose your migration path.
Many customers find that the fastest path to cloud is migrating VMware workloads as is to Azure VMware Solution. The same VMware technology used on-premise is offered in an Azure service. It includes all the VMware licenses bundled with Azure compute costs in an easy monthly subscription, and no more on-prem licenses are required. Customers continue to leverage their familiar VMware skills. This is a great option for customers who have low Azure cloud skills, and no refactoring of applications is required. The other option is to modernize your workloads with native Azure Infrastructure as a Service or Platform as a Service services. Moving to Azure Compute, Storage, and Networking services means no more VMware licenses. This option puts you on the path to take advantage of more cloud benefits. For example, you can convert your VDI environment to Azure Virtual Desktop, or convert databases to SQL database for a fully managed service in Azure. Either option can take advantage of Azure management, security, and compliance services. Many of these services work across both Azure and on-premises workloads, so it's a great option for hybrid cloud management.
Azure VMware Solutions deliver a comprehensive VMware environment in Azure, allowing customers to run native VMware workloads on Azure. You get scale, automation, and fast provisioning for your VMware workloads on a global Azure infrastructure. Keep using your existing VMware investments, skills, and tools, including vSphere, vSAN, vCenter, and all the other tools that you're familiar with. Modernize your VMware workloads by integrating with native Azure services, such as Azure Active Directory, now known as Entra ID. Also get ready for AI and improve analytics of your workloads. Take advantage of unmatched Azure pricing and benefits for Windows Server and SQL Server. And we at FINCHLOOM are experts in helping you find the exact right cost you need for your infrastructure. Microsoft commissioned Forrester Consulting to conduct a total economic impact study and examine the potential return on investment. We wanted to share some of the quantified projected benefits. First, nearly $400,000 in avoided personnel effort maintaining on-premises infrastructure. What do I mean by that? Well, by redeploying on Microsoft Azure, IT personnel who previously were tasked with updating, provisioning, and maintenance tasks for the hardware that they maintained on premises reclaimed their time as workloads are moved out of the data center and into Azure. And in some cases, nearly 100% of the time spent on those tasks is eliminated. So imagine if you can get those people focused or refocused back on business priorities, and let's let Azure and automation take care of the mundane. Second, nearly $2 million is avoided over provisioning, refreshes, and decommissioned infrastructure spend. What does that mean? Well, by redeploying VMware workloads on Azure VMware Solution, the organization avoids over-provisioning for peak demand via the scalability of the cloud and Microsoft Azure. As the organization continues to expand on Azure, avoided hardware refreshes, extended security updates, and ultimately decommissioned infrastructure yield additional cost savings. So as you go longer in Azure, the savings add up because you're no longer having to deal with the old way we had to host our infrastructure with servers. And so over 75% of application downtime has been reclaimed when you don't have to deal with human error and physical hardware. By redeploying key VMware workloads on Microsoft Azure, business impacting downtime is nearly non-existent, while application performance is increased as a result of Azure's high-end, up-to-date computing infrastructure. While they watch this slide with testimonials from other customers, Copilot can give us another quick joke about using Azure VMware Service instead of having on-premise servers.
Sure. Why did the IT manager bring a ladder to their data center? Because they heard cloud computing was the way up.
And as we look at this slide showing the global availability of Azure VMware Solution, can you give us a quick trivia piece, Copilot, about Azure data centers?
Okay, did you know that Microsoft's Azure data centers are connected by over 165,000 miles of fiber optic and undersea cable? That's enough to circumnavigate the Earth more than 6 times. They've got the globe wired up for the cloud.
And now my zany Copilot is going to help us segue into the next section called Azure VMware Solution.
Buckle up, folks, because we're about to dive into the world of Azure VMware Solution. Think of it as your cloud Swiss Army knife. Flexible, reliable, and perfect for slicing through those on-premises limitations. Let's get into it.
Azure VMware Solution creates a flexible path to the cloud with less risk. This allows you to migrate your existing workloads as is. No complex or lengthy app modernization efforts are needed. We built Azure VMware Solution to make use of familiar tools like VMware and vSphere. Your teams are immediately up to speed and productive when migrating workloads to Azure. All you've done is gotten rid of the servers. These two things greatly de-risk your cloud migration and offer up flexibility to migrate apps, run them as is, and then decide whether you want to modernize or not. The key takeaway here is the major transformation in the way infrastructure is managed, especially the ease of adding capacity. We all know what it takes to manage on-premises infrastructure. When we have to add capacity to support a business need, it requires a bunch of lengthy steps. You need to order new hardware, wait for the hardware to arrive, a team needs to unpack and rack the gear, set up and burn in the new gear, and so on. What if adding capacity was as simple as pressing a button? In minutes, new capacity is ready to use immediately. This frees your teams to work on higher value projects. Now, to take another step further, Azure will take on greater responsibilities for managing your Azure VMware Solution environment. We handle ongoing patching, hardware provisioning, and maintenance. This represents a huge opportunity to unleash your team on higher value opportunities and projects within the IT department. Some organizations may want to run their VMware workloads as is in AVS. Others may want to take advantage of the other cloud services that Azure offers. We want to make it easy to provide access and connectivity to other Azure services when you're ready. You may want to use Azure Active Directory, now known as Entra ID, for your application identity needs, or Azure Storage to add capacity to your workloads. Because AVS is an Azure native service, you reduce network complexity and costs with less latency and no egress charges. That means you don't pay for the data, the bandwidth, coming out of Azure. And all of this is managed through the Azure portal, including your VMware resources in AVS. Let's take a close look at the Azure storage options you have using Azure VMware Solution. Because AVS is an Azure service, integration is straightforward and managed through Azure Portal and Azure Resource Manager. The Azure Storage Service combines storage services like table storage, blob storage, in-storage accounts. And if you want the high IOPS, you can use Azure NetApp to migrate and run the most demanding enterprise file workloads in the cloud. Databases, SAP, and high-performance computing applications with no code changes. The connection of workloads to Azure storage services doesn't traverse the internet. This connectivity provides more security and enables you to use SLA-based Azure storage services in your private cloud workloads. As you modernize application storage strategies, you can now also integrate with Azure SQL services, from the fully managed database as a service, Azure SQL, to Azure PostgreSQL Server, providing a fully managed hyperscale open source database as a service. This means if you have a bunch of SQL servers on VMware on Windows, you can get rid of them and move the databases to the platform service. Super easy. And then once your workloads are in the cloud, you can easily attach comprehensive security for your server workloads, such as Defender for Cloud and Azure Network Security. Today you can get started with AVS to support several common use cases. There's the DR and business continuity opportunity, and to begin with, your primary site and infrastructure can be run on-prem, with AVS acting as the backup. Data center footprint reduction and retirement and consolidation is also a big topic this year. Organizations will be able to reduce the data center footprint via a one-time redeployment of VMware-based virtual machines, while decreasing their overall on-premises infrastructure. So these are in the areas of cloud bursting. You can burst your data center and your hybrid cloud. So for those organizations looking to seamlessly expand or augment their data center on demand for short periods of time by relying on the elasticity and flexible payment plans that the public cloud can offer. Imagine having a temporary data center. That's what Azure can do. Also, accelerating the migration. So customers are often driven to exit the data center or to wait for infrastructure supportability, etc. AVS helps fulfill that need quickly without significant change. And then application modernization is a great use case. It's less common, but we understand once customers have established their AVS environment and have them stabilized, they can then look to further integration with Azure and to enable their application developers to tap into Azure's ecosystem of services. Again, without the need to refactor their existing VMware-based workloads. And yes, VMware Site Recovery Manager can be made to work with Azure as your site recovery destination. And then there's also native Azure services that can orchestrate your disaster recovery. Many organizations will want to create a hybrid approach for various application needs. AVS allows organizations to run part of the app on premises. Say, for example, the data app tiers need to run on-prem. The web tier is a perfect candidate to run in AVS, enabling burst capability for the web tier when needed. Let's go back and talk about data center VMware infrastructure footprint reduction and retirement, or data center consolidation. We're seeing a lot of that this year, and organizations will be able to reduce the data center footprint via one-time redeployment of VMware-based virtual machines, while decreasing the overall on-premises infrastructure. So as part of that, you'll be able to lift and shift a VMware vSphere-based workload to Azure in a non-disruptive, automated, scalable, and highly available fashion without changing the underlying vSphere hypervisor. App modernization is less common, but we said once customers have their workloads in Azure, it enables you to tap into Azure's ecosystem of services. So, for an example, here's an app that could benefit from Azure Entra ID to provide web authentication. Azure App Gateway could also be deployed to the existing application to provide app load balancing. You no longer need that hardware load balancer in front of the hardware-based VMware. This app could also tap into Azure Storage to provide a more cost-effective and flexible approach to storage usage. Let's take a closer look at success with Azure VMware Solution. Over the course of more than a century of operation, including mergers with other airlines, Avianca accumulated legacy applications that, while key to company operations, are not optimized for the cloud computing that offers ROI and elasticity advantages the company seeks. Avianca's leadership is acutely aware of the vulnerabilities inherent in legacy applications created before the cloud age. But replacing or optimizing these legacy applications for the cloud represented a significant investment of time and resources. Rather than trying to prevail in this never-ending catch-up game, the company had turned to VMware years earlier to virtualize the infrastructure for its on-premises apps. Now, Avianca needed a compatible migration solution. To protect its entire estate, maximize security, and deliver productivity enhancements, the company envisioned a technological magic wand, a solution that could overcome the limitations of older systems and form a digital beachhead for modernization. The airline turned to Azure VMware Solution for a fast, seamless migration. With VMware operating as a stack on top of Azure and interoperating with Azure, Avianca extends the functionality of Azure security services to its VMware instances. They migrated more than 200 servers in less than 4 months while realizing significant gains, security, ROI, and management gains. With the migration behind them and ongoing Microsoft Cloud management, Avianca IT is free to focus on key initiatives. Now in this slide, just replace Avianca with your company's name and see if any of this sounds familiar. Avianca's journey with Azure VMware Solution resulted in a number of compelling business and technology outcomes. A few highlights include: 1. The company further reduced costs using their Azure hybrid benefit. This means They took advantage of their benefit of the on-premise licensing to use lower cost VMs in Azure for SQL Server, Windows Server, and Red Hat subscriptions for the workloads it was migrating to the cloud. Secondly, added cost savings. The retirement of 6 on-premises servers and the associated support costs were a welcome side benefit of the migration. It was actually 6 hypervisors that they got rid of. But the heightened security and speed that Azure VMware Solution offers were the most compelling incentives. By using the Azure VMware Solution to run its VMware estate on top of Azure infrastructure, Avianca gains improved security in several ways. For example, Avianca chose the Azure VMware Solution partly for the parity it offers with the VMware NSX Zero Trust security feature that protects data on virtual machines. VMware's new cloud-based version, NSX-T, runs under Azure VMware Solution on Azure. So Avianca IT uses familiar Azure security features to monitor and protect the applications running on VMware virtual machines. And the role-based access controls and regular updates to Azure VMware Solution amplify the security and stability of those migrated applications. As it gears up for the future, Avianca looks forward to flipping the ratio of on-premises to cloud solutions with the goal of increasing its cloud-based applications to 55%. It sees Microsoft and its solutions like AVS as key drivers for its digital transformation. We're on another one of those slides that says get started today. So let's turn to Copilot and see how Copilot would suggest that customers get started with FINCHLOOM for Azure VMware Solution. Say again?
I'd suggest emphasizing ease and simplicity. Highlight a few straightforward steps, like signing up on the FINCHLOOM website, exploring the features and benefits of FINCHLOOM's Azure VMware Solutions, and reaching out for a consultation or demo. A call to action button like Start Your Journey or Discover Your Solution would also help direct them.
Do you have a VMware renewal coming up, or did you consider renewing early to lock in pricing before the Broadcom acquisition? We have you covered with great Azure licensing benefits for your VMware workloads. So first, get predictable pricing. Avoid potential price increases with Azure reserved instances. You can lock in pricing and discounts for 1 to 3 years. And if you modernize during those reserved instance years, you can exchange some of the reserved amount as you switch between AVS and infrastructure as a service. You can also save with your existing licenses. If you bought Windows and SQL Server for on-prem on your enterprise agreement, for example, we can show you how to leverage those Azure hybrid benefits and get extended security updates for your old Windows and SQL workloads that you move into Azure. We can also help you look for discounting your Azure VMware solution when you dedicate your solution with reserved instances. And there's plenty of discounts we can help you go pricing when you do those commitments. Here are a few things I want you to remember as we wrap up today's conversation. As we reviewed at the beginning of the talk, some of the major cloud migration challenges involve the necessity to modernize or change existing workloads to run in the cloud. AVS eliminates these issues, creating symmetry between your existing VMware on-prem environment and Azure. You can migrate and run your existing workloads as is, or as are. Second, when combined, Azure efficiencies, meaning running Azure infrastructure at capacity, and your lessened need to manage and maintain VMware infrastructure on-prem, your total cost of ownership in Azure will continue to improve, and improve even more over time compared to continuing to run on-prem. Finally, I want to finish on the strength and commitment of the Microsoft and VMware strategic partnership. From the major investments we've made to the co-innovation and co-engineering activity to your long-term success, we see AVS as a long-term participant in the VMware ecosystem, and we look forward to continuing to advance AVS to support your evolving needs. Thank you for your time today. By partnering with FINCHLOOM, your IT team can be liberated from the mundane management and integration of outdated infrastructure. This allows them to redirect their efforts towards strategic priorities that create real value for your business. FINCHLOOM's expertise ensures that your IT operations run smoothly and efficiently, reducing the burden on your internal team and enabling them to innovate and drive growth. With FINCHLOOM, you can achieve a more agile and forward-thinking IT environment, ultimately leading to enhanced productivity and business success. We have infrastructure assessments, VMware expertise with integration and migration to Azure, and we can optimize your infrastructure once in Azure to eliminate technical debt. Contact us to learn more at finchloom.com. Thank you for taking the time to learn about our offerings at FINCHLOOM. We are excited to help you leverage the full potential of our solutions. To get started, we encourage you to first visit our website at finchloom.com to explore more about our services. Watch the video to see our solutions in action. Read the infographic to get a quick overview of our capabilities. And then sign up for a one-on-one consultation with me so we can discuss pricing and how our solutions can meet your specific needs. And then if we qualify that opportunity, we can set you up with a meeting with Carrie, our Azure architect, who can dive into the technical details and help you scope out your workshop, your proof of concept, your pilot, or your deployment project. We look forward to partnering with you on your journey to success. Let's make great things happen together.